All right, we're diving into looping. We're talking emergency looping, VC looping. What kind of nuffs or DNPs do you need in your team? We're going to go through this and heaps more right after this. G'day, everybody. Welcome back to the Surgeons and Sixes BBL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host, Braino, joined by Horse and Deadly in the studio to talk you through looping. Very popular topic, Deadly, to kick things off tonight, mate. Of course, the people that win every year are utilising the loophole method in one way or another.
Yeah, 100% they are, and it's a very critical thing in BBL SuperCoach that you probably need to get down at home because it can make or break your season just by having a few guys on your bench.
Yeah. Horse, obviously you're a proponent of looping yourself, mate. What's, where we talk about VC looping, we talk about emergency bench looping. Where do you want to start?
We can talk about VC looping. I think we should start there, given that, we can talk about the captaincy looping, all that sort of stuff later. But it's pretty important that when you're VC looping, you've got your VC player on field for starters. Now, this player is going to be a player that you would be comfortable taking the score of no matter what. Hence why you're putting the VC on them. Regardless of whether you're putting them in the flex or whether you're putting them into a position on field, that's totally up to you. But it needs to be put in a way that if you are to utilize the loop. So, for example, you don't put it on the wicketkeeper, actually, because then you can't loop that position. But have you got a share screen that you'd like to bring up there, Braino? But
can do that, mate.
What we can talk through is, for example, you can't VC McDermott, for example, and then he plays and then expect to be able to loop Philippe onto the field unless you've got a non-wicketkeeper bat on your bench in your bat's position. So ideally, in an ideal world, Braino's just picking together a side here as we speak. And for those that are listening on audio, we've got a bit of a graphic up here. We've got a share screen going on, so get across to YouTube and have a bit of a look. But it's pretty important, Deadly, that for me anyway, your looping player is someone that you are confident that is not going to play.
Yeah, you got to make sure the player you have looped in that's going to come in doesn't play, because if they come on and play, then it's going to be a bit of an issue. You won't get the VC score. You'll probably get their pretty poor score that will happen. And if you see on the share screen there, Braino's got it sorted out. Will Salzman seems like the perfect guy for that. Got injured in Shield over the past couple of weeks and is now set to miss the whole of the Big Bash. So, yeah, you can safely loop him in. And, you've got to make sure the looping player, the guy that you're bringing in to get your VC score, doesn't play before your VC as well.
Yeah,
that's very good there. Last year, Braino, I don't know whether you remember, but I had the loop on Jack Wood. Yeah. And he was and he was brought in really late, and I was out at a Christmas party, and that cost me a few spots, needless to say.
It's funny, Christmas parties are the all-time BBL SuperCoach ruiners, aren't they, around this time of the year? But no, it's of course, we're looking for a player that's not going to play. And that's the risk, I guess, you take when when you're having a DNP that is technically a chance. And we know local replacement players come in at the last minute. They potentially might come in and play a game here or there. We saw Lockie Shaw ruin a few loops last year from the Sydney Sixers when he came in and played. So, it's very important. And Salzman's the best DNP option this year because we know that there is a guarantee he will not be playing because he is injured. So, unless he makes some sort of Wolverine-type recovery, he will not be playing. So, he will be safe. He will not ruin your captaincy loophole.
And he's a DPP as well, so can use you both in your bats and your bowls.
Very important to get a DNP that will have a bat bowl dual position, because that then will open up things between the bat and the bowl position in terms of loops. It does give you the flexibility to slide Salzman down if your bench emergency player goes really well in bowler. But just to recap, I guess, on VC, make sure that the player's playing first game of the week. That's usually important. Just get it out of the way. It gets you an early look. Now, make sure your DNP player hasn't already locked out or won't be locking out in game one, because then you can't move, once they've locked, you can't move that DNP onto the field to cover your VC and make them your captains. So that's probably two really important things to note as well, is they need to be playing first and make sure your DNP is playing late. That is the bonus of Salzman as well. He doesn't play first game of the round until week 8, where the
Yes,
Renegades
very
have
late.
the double. Yeah, so a very good, the best pick, the best loop kind of DNP nuff, we'll call him,
Yep.
of the season. So you need him to start in your team.
And it sounds weird, doesn't it, that someone that's not going to play the whole season is going to be one of the most selected players in BBL SuperCoach.
Funny, isn't it? Funny game, but you do need a
Best
DNP for
player
anybody
to
who's
pick.
yeah, he's like for anybody who plays AFL or whatever, like you probably already understand it. It's the same premise. Like, you might have a DNP on field, but then you'll get your bench player that you've got the emergency on as their score in that position as well. For anybody who plays NRL Supercoach, it is a little bit different. You're used to getting your lowest bench player as an auto emergency. That doesn't happen in BBL and AFL. What you do get is the same position on the bench that has your emergency. So just make sure that you've got your emergency on one bench player per position. Don't do 2 emergencies at bat or 2 emergencies on bowl bench, because then you get the lowest score of the 2 that you have put the emergency on. So there's a bit of nuance to it. You've got to make sure you get it right. But all in all, if you make sure that your VC is on a player playing first, and then you put your captaincy on a double game player playing second, you've got the ultimate flexibility there to make that choice on whether you take their score or not. Of course, in week 1, the first game of the week, it's going to be between the Perth Scorchers and the Sydney Sixers. Of course, the Sixers are on the double in game 1, so maybe a Jack Edwards could be an option there, knowing that he's got another game to play. Horse, anybody else like a Sixers player that kind of VC is like a free swing in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. For the Sixers, Ben Dwarshus might be worth a shout. Like we've seen some lower ordering batting where he's been able to get strike rate bonuses in the past, and can take you plenty of wickets and economy rate bonuses and the like. So here's a shout. Philippi, if we see that he's up and about, you could try that right from the start. I'm not so confident in Philippi as I am a Jack Edwards or a Ben Dwarshus, though. Or even if we see Sean Abbott rolling around too, he might be worth an option.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I agree. So VC, very simple. Chuck it on a player that's probably on a double game week in the first game. And then, if they do score, what's your go-to score, Deadly, I guess? It's hard to say with a double coming up, but what's a safe loop for a VC?
I'm trying to remember what it was last year. It was, I think from memory, it was about 70 or 80. I was pretty happy with. So I think something like that. But yeah, on a double, you probably take anything 65 plus. You just lock in the points and go from there.
Yeah, I honestly would say around that 60 to 70 mark is safe, especially with another game in hand as well. Of course, the bowlers we've already talked about in different episodes are probably better options than having the bat-only player.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if your appetite for risk is nice and high, then you get a nice reward there. Mitch Owen showed us that last year at the start of the year. You get a nice reward when they pop off. So let's talk about bench emergency looping. Now, of course, we've covered VC, but being able to utilize your emergency bench loop is probably even more important than your VC loop, in my opinion. Now, a quick, I guess, understanding of how this works. Again, remember that when you bring a DNP on field, you get the emergency player in that position on the bench. You get their score. So what I'm doing here, and you can see I've set it up on the screen. I've got Aaron Hardy there as my bat 6. And we know that he is playing first game of the round. So I'll have my emergency on Aaron Hardy here. If Aaron Hardy scores 50, 60, I don't know what the bench loop standard would be. Probably about 50, to be honest.
50 would be my guess, yeah.
Especially, it depends who I've got on field too, right? Like, do I feel like Aaron Hardy's 50 could be better than Daniel Sam's? Do I feel like he could outscore Glenn Maxwell? I'm not quite sure. But if I do think that, I'll take a 50 or a 60 from Aaron Hardy. And then what I'll do is I'll just pop Will Salzman onto the field for the player that I'm replacing. I wouldn't replace a double game player, of course, but let's just say I replace Daniel Sams. I'll get Aaron Hardy's score then when Will Salzman locks out and doesn't play. So you can actually do this, Horse, in all 3 positions, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're smart about it and you've got that player that plays early in the round as well.
Of course, it's not ideal to start with 3 DNP players, though, Deadly. So you kind of need to, pick your risk and work out how you want to play that.
Yeah, most of the time you start with the 1, and then as your team sort of builds up, you made your cash, and you can sort of there's no real risk about it. You can bring another one in, and usually you run with two towards the back end of the year. And the other one, mate, who we haven't brought up is the wicketkeeper bat loop. Having three of them and being able to rotate through the three of them is pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, let's just use Joe Clark as a bit of an example here, right? So, like, let's say, for instance, Josh Philippe in game one, he shits the bed, he doesn't do well, which is why I've got him on the bench. We've got the option then, if I needed to bring, or I could, let's just say we swap them. You've got the option there to move all three of these players around into the batsman slot to create that more flexibility. Obviously, Ben McDermott is a nice little fallback also on a double in round one, but for the most part, I think it's from round 4 onwards, Horse. Like, I think there's only like one team on the double at a time for the most part for the rest of the season. That's right.
Yep.
So if your guy on the bench shits the bed, you've got that fallback there the first 4 rounds because you've got 2 teams on doubles, but from the game onwards, from round 5, you're going to need a fallback option at wicketkeeper if your bench wicketkeeper fails.
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess you probably need to pick your battles as well in terms of how many DNPs you start with. I wouldn't recommend starting with 3. I would start with 2 personally if I had to. Again, you'll make that decision after game 1. But for the most part, I've seen a lot of teams this year have Aaron Hardy and Mitch Marsh, or Aaron Hardy down at bowler and Finn Allen. And you've got the option there in game 1 of 2 really nice little bench loops there that you can bring both in, bring 2 DNPs in and get them on field and take both of their scores from game 1 if they do pop off.
For sure.
So Perth Scorchers a really nice target there. And Perth Scorchers actually, if I do quickly check, they should play, I'll bring it back to the main screen. They play the first game in round 1, the first game in round 2, the second game in round 3, and the first game in round 4. So they are the ideal bench loop targets because they play 3 out of the first 4 rounds first. So you get an early look with no risk.
Yep.
Have I missed anything? Anything to add?
I don't think so.
I think you're right.
I think we covered it.
Yep.
Of course, Salzman, get him in your team. It's weird saying it, but he's a must-have to start.
Yeah.
But then your VC loophole, of course, is going to be probably a Sixers player in game 1 in week 1. And then you'll fall back onto a Hurricanes player that'll probably end up being someone like a Mitch Owen. Or a Nathan Ellis or whoever, Chris Jordan, whoever it ends up being, you pick from the Hurricanes, but that's the way you go.
Yeah, and just quickly, Braino, what's interesting, especially for right now in the BBL for the wicketkeepers, there's no actual locked-in nuff for wicketkeeper that we've had the past couple of years. So we expect one to come in with the local replacements signings, but for right now, it's sort of the main position you loop into your wicketkeeper and using that little trifecta that we showed there. So just keep in mind if one pops up, it's a good spot to look at.
If you're struggling to start off with, Josh Inglis is in the test squad. It is a pretty expensive loot, but 102k, but that might be where you need to go.
You can't because Perth play 3 out of the 4 games first.
Yeah. Oh, well then disregard everything I just said.
But in saying that,
maybe Sam Harper if he doesn't play.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That deadly bit of robot going on there, but Sam Harper could be the guy that you end up running with, because I reckon Campbell Kellaway, and we had a chat about this before, Horse. Campbell Kellaway could get that 3 spot for the Stars. Let's just hope common sense prevails, because Sam Harper, his time's done.
I just can't see Sam Harper in my squad ever again.
Imagine though he could facilitate a Josh Philippe 150.
Oh wow.
Oh, tell me.
I've been scarred so many times from him before, though.
It's hard because he's so close to their best 11. Like, he'd be the 12th or 13th player. So that's the risk that you take there, because you could end up with another Jack Woodhorse.
Oh, no.
Or for us, Braino, another Liam
burn
Scott.
Me twice.
Oh, Liam Scott was so bloody good, and I missed him last year.
He came in for me as my nuff, and then ended up being a fieldable player at some stages.
To be fair, you missed out on Mitch Owen too.
Yeah, I did.
I missed out on me.
And,
it was rough. Lachlan Shaw could get a go this year. I think a lot of people have been saying, what about Lachlan Shaw? He's probably going to be batting either 3 or 6 for the Sixers.
He's been batting all right in the Shield as well.
There's a spot for him in this team, 100%.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Definitely, like they're tossing up a few different options. Do you need an extra bowler in Joel Davies? Do you need an extra bat? It's Lockie Shaw, and he's actually a really good fielder. That one-handed hanger that he took last year
It was a
was a
ripper.
special catch. Yeah, he's a very good fielder. So, uh, yeah, it's tough. But again, it might be Sam Harper. He might make it back into our team again for 3 years in a row.
No.
Did you have him last? Did you have him last year, Horse? I think you did, didn't you?
At one stage, yes.
Yeah. What a time to be
I think it
alive.
was on a double because I had 2 doubles early on and it was really cheap. And somehow we still managed to score a lot less than anyone else that was on a single.
It was like when Joe Clark had just left too, so he was like the wicket keeper as well. So it was almost impossible not to pick him, and then he still shut the bed.
He sucks me in every time, spits me out. It's he's got the best of me, Sam Harper, 2 years in a row. I can't make it a third unless he's not going to play. And it would be very fitting if I used him as a VC loop and then he ended up playing and coming in late and just ruining my captaincy as well.
It's so going to happen. You could it's written in the stars.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just use salesman for that. Thank you very much. But guys, that's the loophole option. That's looping 101. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. We'll do our best to answer them. If you do want to become a Patreon subscriber and get full access to us whenever you want, the link's in the description below. Click that. Less than $10 a month. And technically, there's only a couple of months left until the BBL SuperCoach season is finished. So a couple of months, $20, and you've got full access to us for the full season. So get involved, jump in the WhatsApp, have a chat, and get all of our articles, player rankings, and things that we've got coming up over the next 14 days until BBL SuperCoach, I was going to say kicks off. Can't use that term. First ball is bowled in BBL SuperCoach. There you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe and like. Give it a thumbs up if you like the content. And we'll see you for the next one. Catch you then.